are you?
Oh my, I'm a journalist. You keep saying
the
hold
FBI.
on, Rudy.
You can't indict anybody.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 most confrontational news moments ever.
Why are you sitting here live on CNN?
Did you notice that? He went straight to that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I did go straight to that
because why would you even say that live on national television?
For this list, we'll be looking at the angriest and most controversial moments to happen on news programs across the globe. Have you ever been on the news? Let us know below. Number 20, Jon Stewart versus Tucker Carlson. Before Tucker Carlson became a commentator on Fox News and then got fired, he hosted Crossfire for CNN alongside Paul Begala. In October 2004, Jon Stewart of The Daily Show fame appeared on the show to promote his novel, America, the Book, A Citizen's Guide to Democracy in Action.
Why do you argue? The two of you, I hate to see it.
We enjoy it.
Stewart soon began criticizing Crossfire and the hosts. While Begala took it in his stride, Carlson was seemingly very hurt and got verbally combative as he insulted Stewart's interviewing methods. This sparked the two polarizing figures to trade insults.
I do think you're more fun on your show, just my opinion.
But
Jon Stewart goes one-on-one with his fans.
You're as big a on your show as you are on any show.
The highlight was the comedian calling Carlson a certain human appendage. Many folks attribute this interview to why Crossfire was canceled in 2005. Number 19, Michael Grimm versus Michael Scotto. When you think of the ideal politician, personality traits such as kindness, calmness, and integrity spring to mind. But those apparently don't belong to former congressman and convicted fraudster Michael Grimm. In 2014, he was interviewed by New York One reporter Michael Scotto. After discussing the State of the Union address, Scotto asked Grimm about his financial investigation, and he didn't take it well and left the interview.
This is only about the president.
Well, what about...
Thank you.
All right, so Congressman Michael Grimm does not want to talk about some of the allegations concerning his campaign finances. We wanted to get him on camera on that, but he, as you saw, refused to talk about that.
Thinking he couldn't be heard, Grimm then threatened Scotto by claiming he would break him in half and throw him off the balcony if the reporter blindsided him again.
You're not me. You're not me.
While Grimm apologized later for his violent words, allegations of him being aggressive to other journalists soon followed.
The bottom line is, I overreacted and my emotions got the better of me. I lost my cool, and that shouldn't happen.
Number 18, Russell Brand versus Morning Joe. The job of an interviewer is to promote the guest and try to get some fun news from them, not to banter amongst themselves and act like obnoxious characters in a high school comedy. But that's what the hosts of Morning Joe did in 2013 when comedian and actor Russell Brand appeared to promote his tour.
I'm talking about Malcolm X, Che Guevara, Gandhi, and Jesus Christ, and how these figures are significant culturally, and how icons are appropriated and used to designate consciousness and meaning, particularly posthumously.
Immediately, he was disrespectfully introduced by Mika Brzezinski, foreshadowing the calamity to follow. The presenters kept talking about Brand as though he wasn't there and chatted about his attire and accent, causing him to snap and call out their rudeness.
You know what's wrong with you? I understand everything he said.
No, it's because you're looking at him. When you don't see him and you don't see the lips
I understand the whole thing.
Stop saying he. I'm present. Russell. What's wrong with your manners?
You're good.
Be polite.
Good.
After the hosts got his name wrong multiple times, Brand basically took over the segment until it was finished. In a later episode, the hosts barely apologized for their actions.
I'm sorry. It was a very long day. It was an interview after the show. We did 2 others.
Number 17,
Jude PISCHKE versus News Crew. In 2017, the local news team of WTVF went to Mount Juliet, Tennessee to speak to Jude PISCHKE.
We want to talk to you about why you're in this house.
I want to talk to you about getting out of here. How's that? Does that work with you? Get that on my face.
For 2 years, he and his family had lived in an abandoned house as squatters. PISCHKE believed he had a legal right to reside there since he was paying taxes. But when WTVF arrived and asked PISCHKE about the property and the legal fight, he didn't want to engage and swore repeatedly. But the crew persisted. So PISCHKE went over to his truck, grabbed an axe, and threatened them to leave.
All right.
Go, God!
We're backing up.
No, leave, God!
We're leaving right now.
Unsurprisingly, the weapon wielder was arrested for his actions. PISCHKE pled guilty to a count of assault and received 2 years of probation. On top of that, the family left the house. Number 16. KRISHNAN GURU-MURTHY versus Quentin Tarantino. Instead of criticizing laws and the media, some reporters take the easy opinion and blame films, TV shows, and video games for inspiring violent attacks. In 2013, director Quentin Tarantino was interviewed by Channel 4 News' KRISHNAN GURU-MURTHY shortly after a mass attack in Newtown, Connecticut.
You can't be surprised by the controversy that's come along with it.
Well, you can't. I don't think you can actually make a movie about slavery in America that it's not going to be controversial.
Instead of promoting Django Unchained, GURU-MURTHY pressed Tarantino on the connection between real life and screen violence. The animated director refused to respond, as he'd covered this topic many times before. Tarantino made the point that this was a commercial for his movie.
I don't want to talk about what you want to talk about. I don't want to talk about the implications of violence. I haven't wanted, because the reason I don't want to talk about it is I've said everything I have to say about it. If anyone cares what I have to say about it, they can Google me.
But the journalist continued trying to get a scoop, forcing Tarantino to say, "I'm shutting your butt down." Instead of learning from the experience, GURU-MURTHY was just as forceful with Robert Downey Jr. in 2015. Number 15. Rudy Giuliani versus Chris Cuomo. Before he was fired for his own harassment allegations and defending his brother Andrew's scandal, Chris Cuomo hosted Cuomo Primetime for CNN. And in September 2019, he had Donald Trump's lawyer Rudy Giuliani on. At the time, the scandal that Trump had asked Ukraine for dirt on Hunter Biden was doing the rounds.
Did you ask the Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden?
No, actually I didn't. I asked the Ukraine to investigate the allegations that there was interference in the election of 2016 by the Ukrainians for the benefit of Hillary Clinton.
So Giuliani wanted to get ahead of the story. Instead, he made it a million times worse somehow. Immediately, the former mayor of New York was verbally aggressive to Cuomo. When the reporter asked him about the allegations, Giuliani rejected them. Within moments, he confirmed he did ask Ukraine.
So you did ask Ukraine to look into Joe Biden?
Of course I did.
You just said you didn't.
Yikes. The interview was a mess as both parties spoke over each other and Giuliani made several insults about CNN. Number 14. Cara Delevingne versus Good Day Sacramento. It's bizarre when interviewers immediately show disrespect to their guests, only to be shocked at getting an icy reaction. In 2015, Cara Delevingne was doing interviews to promote her role in Paper Towns. As such, she appeared on Good Day Sacramento. Straight away, Marianne McClary introduced her as Carla, and it all went downhill from there.
Cara Delevingne is in the movie. She joins us live from New York City to talk about Paper Towns. Cara, good morning.
Hey. Hi, how you doing?
We're doing all right. Nice to have you here.
Delevingne was then asked if she had read the book the film was based on. The actor responded with sarcasm that she just winged it. Later, the host aggressively questioned Delevingne if she was tired or annoyed. It was incredibly condescending, especially when they finished by suggesting she should have a Red Bull.
Yeah, I think it's just you.
I think it probably is us. Well, then on that note...
We figured as much. We figured as much.
We'll let you go then. How about that?
All
We'll
right.
let you go take a little nap, maybe get a Red Bull. How about that?
Afterward, Delevingne stated they didn't understand sarcasm or British humor. Number 13. Piers Morgan versus Alex Beresford. Piers Morgan has become known for slating Meghan Markle any chance he can get. And in 2021, Morgan's opinions of the actor came back to bite him.
I'm sorry, I don't believe a word she says, Meghan Markle.
Well, that's a
I wouldn't believe it if she read me a weather report. And the fact that she's fired up this onslaught against our royal family, I think is contemptible.
After going off on a rant on Good Morning Britain about Markle and Prince Harry's interview with Oprah Winfrey, weather reporter Alex Beresford had enough. He calmly and heavily criticized Morgan for dismissing Markle's honest conversation about her mental health the previous day. Morgan then proceeded to storm off the sets.
Continue to trash her.
Okay, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no. Sorry.
Do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can trash me, maybe not my own.
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do this.
This is absolutely diabolical behavior.
While he returned to finish the show, Morgan later quit the program. Number 12. Frank Rizzo versus Stan Borman. The former mayor and police commissioner of Philadelphia, Frank Rizzo was a very controversial figure who had been accused of promoting racist policies. In 1980, Rizzo damaged a camera belonging to a news crew when they were stationed outside his house on a public street.
Pull that, take that thing out, unhook it, or I'll throw it out in the middle of the goddamn street. You turn that off.
This spurred KYW reporter Stan Borman to confront the former mayor over the incidents. He found Rizzo walking his dog and approached him. Immediately, Rizzo refused to speak to Borman. As the reporter kept pressing, Rizzo threatened him with a fistfight and resorted to insults.
You're a crumb creep coward. You can't take, you won't stand up to a man.
I'm standing up. We're not here to fight. We're here to get some answers to some questions. That's all.
I want to fight you.
Why is that?
Because you're a crumb creep lush coward.
He famously called Borman a creep, crumb bum, and bizarrely, a crumb creep lush coward. The reporter, deadpanning by stating Rizzo doesn't even know him, was delightful. Number 11, George W. Bush versus Muntadir El-Zaidi. In 2008, then U.S. President George W. Bush hosted a press conference in Baghdad, Iraq, alongside the country's Prime Minister, Nouri el-Maliki. Watching with his fellow journalists was Muntadir El-Zaidi, who blamed Bush and the U.S. for the massive number of casualties in the Iraq War. Al-Zaidi called the president a dog in Arabic and threw a shoe at Bush, who ducked. Armed with one more, Al-Zaidi lobbed his remaining shoe, which also missed, before being restrained by security. While many in the Middle East saw Al-Zaidi's actions as heroic, the U.S. and the Iraqi government did not. The journalist later served 9 months in jail for the incidents.
I regret only having one pair of shoes to throw at him. Why should I be remorseful? What is there to regret? This man killed my people and caused tragedies all over the world.
Number 10, Jennifer Livingston versus Anonymous Fat Shamer. This story is a fairly serious one, but certainly a headline that you'll never forget. It's also quite unique in that this entry has a very cold confrontational moment, and yet there is only one person involved.
I want to take a moment to address a situation that has become a talking point in this community over the past weekend, especially on Facebook, that centers around me.
After receiving an email from an anonymous source that criticized her weight, WKBT news anchor Jennifer Livingston turned the situation on its head. Livingston, who has a medical condition that affects her weight, used her platform and confronted not just the emailer, but any would-be body shamer out there.
You don't know me. You are not a friend of mine. You are not a part of my family, and you have admitted that you don't watch this show. So you know nothing about me but what you see on the outside. And I am much more than a number on a scale.
Unanimously and deservedly praised for her candor, Livingston proved how to stand up for yourself in a dignified way.
What got to me is that he said in his email, I am a bad role model for this community, for young girls, and I have 3 young girls. And that is where I feel like he crossed the line.
Number 9, Jamie Simpson versus Bachelorette viewers. Also in the news list is this now infamous moment, which is not only intense, but probably saves some lives in the process.
That's why this is a dangerous situation tonight. It's dark, it's also rainy.
Still, this emergency update was apparently a huge inconvenience to the Bachelorette fans wanting to see what Hannah Brown had to say. And they were none too happy to have weatherman Jamie Simpson interrupt the broadcast to, warn of an impending tornado. Another moment in which an on-screen personality is confronting someone through the camera, Simpson was having none of the social media backlash from the Bachelorette faithful.
I was just checking social media. We have viewers complaining already. Just go back to the show. No, we're not going back to the show, folks. This is a dangerous situation.
His outburst angrily reminded them that their personal safety was way more important. Several hours after a tornado touched down, lead star Hannah Brown took to Twitter to back Simpson up.
It just really bothers me that we have people that don't care about other people's safety around here. That's just ridiculous.
Number 8, Matt LeBon versus John DeLusick. In other news-related moments of this list, we have a confrontation between co-workers that would have been hilarious to watch live, provided you weren't too busy darting to the nearest storm shelter, of course.
John, I need you off the phone. I need you to check radar, and I need you to look at this tornado warning up here.
What is it about weathermen and their hot tempers? Then again, it's tough staying cool on live TV. In a clip that made its way to Jimmy Kimmel Live, weatherman Matt LeBon can be seen berating news anchor John DeLusick for not paying attention to the impending weather warning.
John, We do now have reports.
The atmosphere was more tense in the studio, but LeBron gets a pass for his impassioned stance. The last time he was delivering a tornado warning, he had to evacuate the studio.
You know what happened, John? In the 5 minutes we didn't have radar data, it produced a tornado.
Number 7, Chad Myers versus Carol Costello. In some related news, this particular entry involves a confrontational moment between weatherman and anchor. On the morning of August 30th, meteorologist Chad Myers was giving his daily update on the path of Hurricane Katrina. Before he could get into it, Carol Costello cut in and asked him, albeit somewhat rudely, to call it as plainly as he could. In her defense, when dealing with such a serious issue, perhaps Myers could have simplified things a little. Instead, he blew up, sharply demanding that Carol let him talk.
Not as low of pressure, but Camille. Let me talk, Carol.
Translate that for us. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Well, if you would let me talk.
Ouch, Chad. Luckily, it was very early in the morning, so fewer people saw his rage, and besides, he was just joking, apparently.
Thank you, Chad.
All right, just having fun with you this morning.
I know.
Number 6, Courtney Brennan versus Newell resident. And in other news, sometimes confrontation can be a cool reminder that journalists aren't to be taken for granted, particularly in the local news programming, where the press aren't as protected. Tensions can quickly rise.
They're really having a difficult time getting people to come forward, and we encountered that very thing when we went to the town today.
Such was the case in November 2012, when Pittsburgh's WPXI TV News sent field journalist Courtney Brennan to Newell in order to report on a finding of explosives in a residential area.
No matter how many times I asked, this man would not step aside.
Whilst setting up, herself and her crew were approached by a local resident and berated. We're giving credit where it is due. Brennan did not give an inch or back down, despite the aggressive behavior she unexpectedly faced.
Sir, this is not, you do not own the street. I'm sorry you're upset, but we are allowed to be here.
We're nothing but blood-sucking vultures.
Number 5, Kate Baldwin versus Carl Higbie. This news event was a long time coming. In 2016, CNN news personality Kate Baldwin was given a show initially to report on the presidential election. To ensure that the show had no bias towards any political leanings, guests from the left were just as welcome as guests from the right, with Baldwin mediating.
2 former officials, tell you what, come out, name those people, then we'll have something to talk about.
During a discussion into the White House allegedly sharing information with Russia, former Navy SEAL and Donald Trump supporter Carl Higbie started questioning the legitimacy of anonymous sources if they won't state their names.
Who are the sources? Oh, because they're hiding behind this anonymity. And that's what we're seeing.
Please, do not even start with me that you're just going to attack sources.
Higbie began shouting about how anonymous sources should be named. The onslaught of Higbie's naive statement didn't end, and other guests soon took him to task. We get the feeling they'd had this conversation before.
They stand behind this story, come out, face the camera.
Can I just say something? All they've been doing is facing the camera, Carl.
Number 4, Brooke Baldwin with Keith Reed versus Clay Travis. In breaking news, former CNN host Brooke Baldwin gave viewers the ultimate confrontation during a 3-way conversation in September 2017.
I'm a First Amendment absolutist. I believe in only 2 things completely, the First Amendment and boobs. And so once they made the decision that they were not going to allow a conservative, non-sports-related commentary, they couldn't do it either. Hold on.
Ironically, this moment came about during a longer and heated debate over the practice of free speech, as Jemele Hill's tweets had gotten her into hot water with the White House and ESPN.
I believe completely in the First Amendment and in boobs. Those are the only 2 things I believe 100% in this country.
Still, Clay Travis's remarks that he believes in only the First Amendment and boobs did little but annoy Baldwin, who was trying to promote more women with her platform. After clarifying that he didn't say booze, Baldwin finally pulled the rug out from under Travis's feet and cut him off.
I'm done. I'm sorry.
To have her anatomy brought up, to have anyone's anatomy brought up in this conversation?
I'm done. This is done. This is conversation over. Yanking mics. Bye. See ya.
And that's good night for him. Number 3, Weijia Jiang versus Donald J. Trump. News from the White House now. When you think of great rivalries, you can have Frazier versus Ali, The Rock versus Austin, David versus Goliath, but the most intriguing heavyweight bouts of recent times is Trump versus Jiang. Since 2018, reporter Weijia Jiang has been the White House correspondent for CBS News, and for some reason, then-President Donald Trump took an instant dislike to her.
Keep your voice down, please. Keep your voice down.
He's told her to keep her voice down, referred to her questions as nasty, and accused her of fabricating a gotcha moment, all on separate occasions.
Said I gotcha. I gotcha.
No, it's not a gotcha. But nothing compares to the press conference in which he told Jiang, who is of Chinese origin, to ask China about coronavirus responses.
The U.S. is doing far better than any other country when it comes to testing.
Yes.
Why does that matter? Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world, and maybe that's a question you should ask China.
When challenged, he backtracked.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you, I'm not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question like that.
That's not a nasty question.
Please go ahead.
And when challenged again, he abruptly walked off stage. Running away? You decide. Number 2, Jim Ryan versus Dick Oliver. In local news rooms, tensions can be very high. With small teams, the intimacy of the office can lead to strong relationships or butting heads. It's a testament to one's professionalism to keep the behind-the-scenes animosity away from the public eye.
Don't let her go away. That's what. Does she have a response to that? Is she still there?
But it's much funnier when fights happen on camera. Just ask Jerry Springer. Anchor Jim Ryan got into it with reporter Dick Oliver when the latter seemed to let the news story go. Oliver's response was to immediately move on to the offensive, reminding Ryan that he used to be the boss.
No, I'll give you lessons on how to become a reporter later
I'll give you some lessons on how to be an editor, because I was your boss once.
Yeah, you were, and are no longer. How did that happen?
The moment was long considered to be the inspiration behind the Herb Welch character on Saturday Night Live. Though the SNL team deny that, it's hard to ignore the similarities.
No, Herb, stay on topic, Herb. Okay? What? Stay on topic. You know, ask your source if anyone's been injured or something like that.
Don't direct me, you Tyrak.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Jim Acosta versus Donald J. Trump. And finally, our top story is an event that started in the news and then made the news before ending up in the courtroom. Weijia Jiang may have been one of Donald Trump's least favorite correspondents, but CNN's Jim Acosta could be the ex-president's nemesis.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
During a White House press conference in which he challenged Trump over his invasion of migrants from South America remarks, Acosta gently blocked the intern attempting to take the microphone.
I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Trump accused Acosta of physically shoving her and had Acosta's press pass revoked. Judges expressed this as a contravention of the Fifth Amendment. The case was settled when Acosta was reinstated. Say what you like about the 45th president, but he did provide some confrontational moments on the news.
Just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.